Bound by Fate. Part 3. Shadows in the Garden. 3 days passed like a held breath. Imani fell into a rhythm that felt almost normal. If normal included living in a palace, carrying a king's child, and having dinner every evening with a man who looked at her like she was a puzzle he desperately wanted to solve. Each night they ate together. Sometimes Korean food, sometimes Kenyan, once an awkward fusion that made them both laugh. They talked about everything and nothing. Books, politics, the weight of expectations, the cost of dreams deferred. Jin Pyong was different in private. Still guarded, still carrying his grief like armor, but slowly, incrementally human. He asked about her writing. Listened to her read passages. Once he even smiled. A real smile that transformed his face from marble to man. Imani hated how much she looked forward to those dinners. Hated how her heart jumped when she heard his footsteps in the corridor. Hated that she was starting to see him not as her captor, but as someone equally trapped, equally scared, equally alone. This is dangerous, she told herself every night. Don't forget what he is. Don't forget why you're here. But her heart was a traitor, and it was forgetting faster than she could remind it. On the 4th morning, Imani woke to nausea so violent she barely made it to the bathroom. She retched until there was nothing left, her body shaking, sweat coating her skin. Morning sickness. The irony of the name, it lasted all day. Seon found her on the bathroom floor, pale and trembling. Miss. I'll get Dr. Yoon. No, Imani's voice was weak. It's normal. Just pregnancy. But Seon was already running. Dr. Yoon arrived within minutes, Jin Pyong right behind her. He took one look at Imani, collapsed against the bathtub, vulnerable and miserable. And something cracked in his carefully controlled expression. Out, Dr. Yoon ordered him. Give her privacy. Is she? She's fine. It's morning sickness. Normal if unpleasant. Now out. Jin Pyong hesitated, clearly wanting to stay to help to do something. Then he caught Imani's eyes, embarrassed, exhausted, and left. But he didn't go far. He waited in the corridor outside her rooms, pacing like an expectant father in a drama. Minister Hong found him there 20 minutes later. Your Majesty? The council meeting. Cancel it. Sir, we can't. I said cancel it. Jin Pyong's voice was steel. Or reschedule. I don't care which. I'm not leaving until I know she's all right. Hong stared at his friend, his king, seeing something that terrified him. You're getting attached. She's carrying my child. Of course I'm concerned. It's more than concern. Hong's voice dropped. Jin Pyong, you know this can't end well. She's not Korean. The child will be my heir. My responsibility. Mine to protect. Jin Pyong turned, his eyes dangerous. Is that a problem? It could be. For both of you. Hong chose his words carefully. There are people who won't accept this situation. Who see her as a threat to tradition, to bloodline purity, to everything the throne represents. Then they can take their concerns and... The door opened. Dr. Yoon emerged, her expression kind but tired. She's resting. The morning sickness is severe but not dangerous. I've given her medication to help. She needs fluids, gentle foods and peace. Dr. Yoon looked pointedly at both men. Peace. Not political intrigue or stress. Can I see her? Jin Pyong asked. If she agrees. But Jin Pyong, be gentle. She's vulnerable right now. He entered quietly, finding Imani back in bed, her beautiful dark skin ashen, her eyes closed. She looked impossibly young, impossibly fragile. You don't have to stay, she said without opening her eyes. I'm fine. You're not fine. You were on the bathroom floor. It's pregnancy. It happens. She opened her eyes, meeting his. You don't need to worry about me. Just the baby. The heir. Isn't that what matters? The words were meant to hurt, to push him away. They succeeded. Is that what you think? Jin Pyong's voice was quiet, dangerous. That I only care about the child? Don't you? This whole situation exists because you needed an heir. I'm just the accidental incubator. You're not. He stopped, visibly struggling with words, with feelings he'd locked away for 3 years. You matter, Imani. Not just the child. You. The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. Why? She whispered. Why do I matter? I'm nothing to you. A stranger who got caught in your mess. Jin Pyong moved closer, then stopped himself, remembering her boundaries. You're not nothing. You're the first person in 3 years who's looked at me and seen a man instead of a ghost. Who challenges me. Who makes me feel. He broke off, shaking his head. I don't know what this is. But it's not nothing. Imani's heart hammered against her ribs. This was dangerous territory. Feelings were dangerous. Especially with a man who held all the power, who could hurt her in ways Jacob never could. I need to rest, she said, closing her eyes, closing him out. She heard him sigh. Heard his footsteps move toward the door. Then felt the whisper of fabric as he laid something soft over her. A blanket, still warm from somewhere. Rest, he said quietly. I'll have Suyun bring ginger tea. It helped Yoon when she was sick. The comparison to his dead fiancé should have stung. Instead it felt like trust, like he was sharing something precious. Thank you, Imani whispered. After he left, she pulled the blanket closer and breathed in the scent. Cedar and something else, something distinctly him. This is so dangerous, she thought. I'm falling for my captor. I'm becoming the cliché I always hated. But knowing it was dangerous didn't make it stop. In his office, Hong made another phone call. She's getting sicker. The pregnancy is becoming real. And he's falling for her. The voice on the other end was cold, calculated. Then we accelerate the plan. The longer she stays, the harder this becomes. What are you proposing? A choice. Money. Enough to change her family's life forever. In exchange for her silence and departure after the child is born. And if she refuses? Then we make staying more dangerous than leaving. Accidents happen in palaces. Especially to foreigners who don't know which corridors to avoid. Hong's stomach turned. You're talking about threatening her. Potentially hurting her. I'm talking about protecting the throne. Protecting Jin Pyong from himself. He's vulnerable right now, emotional. When the child is born and she's gone, he'll thank us. Or he'll never forgive us. That's a risk I'm willing to take. Are you? The voice turned sharp. You're his oldest friend. His most trusted advisor. But you're also sworn to protect the throne, even from the king himself when necessary. So decide, Hong. Are you his friend or his servant? The line went dead. Hong sat in the darkness, the weight of impossible choices pressing down like water, like drowning. He'd sworn oaths, to Jin Pyong, to the throne, to Korea itself. But which oath mattered most when they all demanded different sacrifices? He thought of Imani, young, fierce, pregnant with an heir that would change everything. She wasn't evil. She wasn't scheming. She was just a woman caught in an impossible situation, same as Jin Pyong. But Hong had seen what happened when kings loved the wrong people. He'd watched Lady Yoon's funeral, had held Jin Pyong as he shattered, had spent 3 years watching his friend become a ghost. I'm protecting him, Hong told himself. Even if he hates me for it, I'm protecting him from another loss, another heartbreak. But the justification felt hollow, tasted like betrayal. That night, Imani felt well enough to join Jin Pyong for dinner. The nausea had subsided to a manageable background hum and cabin fever was setting in. You should be resting, Jin Pyong said when she appeared. I've been resting all day. If I stay in that room any longer, I'll go crazy. She sat across from him, noticing the spread, plain rice, mild soup, ginger tea. You ordered bland food. Dr. Yoon said rich foods might trigger the nausea. But I wanted you to be able to eat. The consideration was becoming familiar, and that scared her more than his coldness ever had. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Imani asked the question that had been gnawing at her. What happens after? After the baby comes? Jin Pyong's chopsticks stilled. What do you want to happen? I asked first. He set down his chopsticks, meeting her eyes. Honestly, I don't know. Traditionally, the surrogate would have no claim, no contact. The child would be raised as mine, as the heir, with no connection to the birth mother. That's what you want. To erase me from my own child's life. No, The word came out fierce. That's what tradition demands. What I want is complicated. Uncomplicate it. Jin Pyong stood, moving to the window. The garden below was dark, mysterious. I want my child to know where they came from. To know you. To have both of us in their life somehow. He turned back, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. But I don't know how that works. You're Kenyan. I'm Korean. You're commoner. I'm royalty. The child will be both and neither. They'll face prejudice, questions, cruelty. And I don't know how to protect them from that. You can't, Imani said quietly. I've faced prejudice my whole life. Being black in Kenya has its own challenges. Being black in Korea is... I see the stares, the whispers. Our child will face that doubled. Tripled. They'll be too black for Korea, too Korean for Kenya, too royal for normal life, too scandalous for royal life. So what do? We love them anyway. We teach them strength. We give them both worlds and let them build their own. Imani stood, moving closer to him, not touching but close enough to share space. But that requires us to figure out what we are to each other. Co-parents? Strangers bound by biology? Or... His voice was barely a whisper. Or something else. Something without a name yet. They stood in the charged silence, so close she could feel his warmth, see the pulse jumping in his throat. Jin Pyong's hand lifted, hesitated, hovered near her face. Hey, The question, asking permission, respecting her boundaries, undid her. Yes. His fingers brushed her cheek, gentle as prayer. His touch was warm, reverent, shaking slightly. I'm terrified of this, he confessed. Of wanting something I can't control. Of losing again. I'm terrified too. Of trusting a man with power over me. Of being hurt again. I won't hurt you. You already have. You're keeping me here. To protect you. And if I said I'd rather risk danger than stay in a cage? Even a beautiful one. Jin Pyong's hand dropped. He stepped back, the moment shattering. I can't. The threats are real, Imani. There are people who see you as a problem to eliminate. What people? Who? Conservative factions. Traditionalists who believe the bloodline should remain pure Korean. Politicians who see you as a scandal that could undermine the monarchy. His voice was heavy. Even people close to me who think they're protecting the throne by removing you from the equation. Imani's blood ran cold. You mean kill me? I won't let that happen. But you're saying it's a possibility. That there are people in this palace, people you know, who would rather see me dead than see your child have a black mother. The silence was answer enough. Then why am I here? Imani's voice rose. If it's so dangerous, why not hide me somewhere else? Why keep me in the center of the threat? Because here I can protect you. Here I control the guards, the security, the access. Anywhere else you'd be vulnerable. Or you want to keep me close. For yourself. The accusation hung between them. Jin Pyong didn't deny it. Both things are true, he said quietly. I want you safe. And I want you near. I won't apologize for either. Imani's anger warred with something dangerously close to affection. You're impossible. So are you. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Perhaps that's why this might work. This? What is this, Jin Pyong? He moved closer again, drawn like gravity. I don't know. But I want to find out. If you'll let me. If you can trust me even a little. Trust is earned. Then I'll earn it. However long it takes. His sincerity was devastating. Imani wanted to believe him, wanted to fall into the fantasy of the K-drama she'd always dreamed about. But reality was harsher than fiction. Prove it, she said. Give me real freedom. Let me leave the palace. Walk the city. Live. It's not safe. Then come with me. You have guards. Protection. You go on state visits, diplomatic trips. Take me somewhere. Show me Seoul. Let me feel like a person instead of a prisoner. Jin Pyong was quiet for a long time. Then, tomorrow. There's a private garden on the outskirts of the city. Secluded. Safe. I'll take you there. Just you and me? And security. But distant. Invisible. He met her eyes. As much freedom as I can give without risking you. It wasn't perfect. But it was something. Okay, Imani said. Tomorrow. But not everyone was pleased with this development. Minister Hong watched from the shadows as Jin Pyong and Imani stood close, talking quietly, the intimacy between them obvious even from a distance. It's worse than I thought, he realized. He's not just protecting her. He's falling for her. Hong had known Jin Pyong for 30 years. Had watched him grow from awkward prince to responsible king. Had stood beside him through Lady Yoon's death, through the grief that nearly destroyed him. He couldn't watch him fall again. Couldn't watch him build a life on a foundation that would crumble the moment the public found out. Because they would find out. Secrets like this never stayed buried. And when they did, the backlash would be nuclear. The conservative factions would revolt. The media would feast. Jin Pyong's reign would be undermined, possibly destroyed. All because of one foreign woman and an accidental pregnancy. I have to act, Hong thought. For his own good. For Korea. He pulled out his phone and typed a message. Accelerate the plan. Make the offer tomorrow while he's distracted. The response was immediate. Asterisk understood. How much? Asterisk. Hong thought of Imani's family in Kenya. The sick father. The struggling siblings. The poverty she'd come here to escape. $5 million. American. Enough to change their lives forever. And if she refuses? Hong closed his eyes, hating himself. Then plan B. He didn't specify what plan B entailed. He didn't want to know. I'm sorry, Jin Pyong, he thought. But I'm saving you from yourself. One day you'll understand. In her rooms, Imani called a Kenyan. He's taking me out tomorrow. To a garden. Outside the palace. That's good, right? Progress. I think so. Maybe. I don't know, Aki. Imani's voice cracked. I'm starting to feel things for him. Real things. And it terrifies me. Why? He sounds like he feels the same. Because men with power always say the right things. Jacob did too, remember? He said he loved me right up until he didn't take no for an answer. Jin Pyong isn't Jacob. How do I know that? How do I trust my own judgment when it's failed before? Akinyi was quiet for a moment. Then, you're right. You can't know. Not for certain. Trust is always a leap. But Imani, from everything you've told me, this man is trying. He's asking permission. Respecting boundaries. Showing vulnerability. That's not manipulation. That's someone equally scared, equally wounded, reaching out. Or it's a really good act. Maybe. But your gut usually knows the difference. What does your gut say? Imani touched her stomach. Flat still, but not for long. My gut says this is dangerous. And real. And maybe worth the risk. Then take the risk. Carefully. But take it. After they hung up, Imani opened her manuscript. The story was writing itself now, the characters taking on lives beyond her control. He was supposed to be her enemy. The king who'd imprisoned her, the man who represented everything wrong with power and privilege. But somewhere between the forced dinners and careful conversations, between the moments of vulnerability and the gestures of care, he'd become something else. He'd become hers. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. Jin Pyong couldn't sleep. He stood in his study, staring at Lady Yoon's portrait, feeling like a traitor. I'm not trying to replace you, he told the painted eyes. You were my first love. My perfect love. I'm so tired of being alone. So tired of this empty existence. The portrait offered no absolution. She's nothing like you. She's fierce where you were gentle. Guarded where you were open. She challenges everything, questions everything. Being with her is like being alive again. His phone buzzed. A message from Hong. We need to talk. Urgent. Tonight. Jin Pyong ignored it. Whatever Hong wanted could wait until morning. Tonight he needed to figure out what he was doing, what he was feeling, what he was willing to risk. Because taking Imani outside the palace was more than a gesture. It was a statement. To his guards. To the staff. To anyone watching. It said, asterisk, she matters to me. She's not just the vessel for my heir. Is important. Asterisk. And in the rigid world of royal protocol, importance meant vulnerability. It meant showing the world you had something that could be taken, threatened, used against you. Is she worth that risk? He asked himself. The answer came immediately, undeniably. Yes. Morning came too fast and too slow. Imani dressed carefully. Jeans and a flowing top that hid her still flat stomach. Comfortable shoes for walking. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a woman caught between worlds, between fear and hope. You can do this, she told her reflection. It's just a garden. Just a few hours. Don't read too much into it. But her heart wasn't listening. Jin Pyong arrived at her door precisely at 9, dressed in casual clothes that made him look younger, more approachable. His hair was unstyled, falling across his forehead. He looked nervous. Ready? He asked. Ready. The car ride was quiet, tension humming between them. Jin Pyong kept glancing at her, then away like he was memorizing her profile. You're staring, Imani said, not looking at him. I know. I'm sorry. You look beautiful. You said that before. It's still true. Seoul passed by the tinted windows. Modern towers and ancient temples, tradition and progress existing in uneasy harmony. Imani watched it all, feeling like a ghost, invisible behind the glass. Do you ever wish you were normal? She asked suddenly. Just a regular person without all the history and expectation? Every day. Especially after Yoon died. I wanted to disappear. Become someone else. Someone without a throne and a legacy and 1,000 ancestors watching. He paused. Do you wish I was normal? I'm normal. That's the problem. I'm too normal for this world you're dragging me into. You're not normal. Normal people don't challenge kings. Normal people don't write stories that make you feel. Normal people don't carry themselves like queens even when they're terrified. Imani turned to look at him, really look at him. You see me differently than I see myself. Maybe we both need new mirrors. The garden appeared like a secret, hidden behind high walls, accessible only through a private gate. When they stepped out of the car, the world transformed. It was autumn perfect. Maple trees ablaze with color. A stream burbling over smooth stones. Chrysanthemums in every shade. And silence, blessed, complete silence. It's beautiful, Imani breathed. It was Yoon's favorite place. Private. Private. The only place she felt free from court scrutiny. Jin Pyong walked beside her, hands clasped behind his back. I haven't been here since she died. But I wanted to share it with you. The trust in that gesture hit Imani like a wave. This wasn't just a garden. This was his grief, his memory, his most sacred space. Thank you, she said quietly, for trusting me with this. They walked in silence, the only sounds their footsteps and the stream and the wind through the leaves. Security was invisible as promised, present but distant. Tell me about Jacob, Jin Pyong said suddenly. Imani tensed. Why? Because he's part of why you can't trust me. And I want to understand. She was quiet for a long time, walking, breathing, deciding. Then, we met at university. He was charming, intelligent, said all the right things. But thought he was different. Safe. What happened? We dated for 6 months. He kept pushing for sex. I wasn't ready. But I have beliefs, values. I wanted to wait. Her voice hardened. He said he understood. Said he'd wait forever. Then one night at his apartment he decided he was done waiting. Jin Pyong's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent, letting her speak. I fought him off. Barely. But the damage was done. Not just physically. I ended up in the hospital with complications that led to the Asherman syndrome. But emotionally. Psychologically. I haven't been with anyone since. Can't even think about it without feeling sick. I'm sorry, Jin Pyong said, and the pain in his voice was real. I'm sorry that happened to you. That anyone would. He stopped, visibly struggling. You deserved better. You deserve better. Do I? Because right now I'm pregnant with a stranger's child, trapped in a palace, bound to a man I barely know. Feels like the universe disagrees about what I deserve. Then the universe is wrong. He stopped walking, turning to face her fully. Imani, what happened to you both with Jacob in the hospital is unconscionable. and I can't undo it. But I can promise you this. I will never take anything you're not willing to give. I will ask before I touch. I will respect every boundary. I will wait as long as it takes for you to feel safe with me if you ever do. Tears burned in Imani's eyes. Why does it matter? You're a king. You could command anything. Because commanding obedience isn't the same as earning trust. And I don't want your obedience, Imani. I want... He trailed off, searching for words. I want to know you. The real you. The woman who writes love stories and misses her family and challenges me at every turn. I want to deserve your trust even if I never fully earn it. You're making this so hard. Making what hard? Keeping my walls up. Staying angry. She wiped at her tears. You're supposed to be the villain in this story, Jin Pyong. You're supposed to be cold and controlling and easy to hate. And I'm not. You are. Sometimes. But then you do things like this, bringing me here, sharing your grief, asking permission, and I don't know who you are anymore. I'm a man trying to be better than his worst choices. Just a man. They stood in the filtered sunlight, surrounded by autumn beauty, two damaged people reaching across an impossible distance. Can I tell you something? Imani asked. Anything. I'm starting to not hate you. And that terrifies me more than hating you ever did. Jin Pyong's expression cracked. Relief, joy, fear all mixed together. I'm terrified too. Of wanting this. Of wanting you. So what do? We take it slow. We learn each other. We build something real if we can. He held out his hand, palm up, and offering not a demand. One step at a time. Starting now if you let me. Imani stared at his hand. Taking it meant something. Meant choosing to trust, to risk, to step into the terrifying unknown. She thought of Jacob. Of betrayal. Of every reason to say no. Then she thought of Jin Pyong. Asking permission, showing vulnerability, offering his most sacred space. She took his hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm, gentle, trembling slightly. They stood there, hands clasped, breathing in sync, the world holding its breath around them. One step at a time, Imani echoed. They walked together through the garden, hands linked, building something fragile and precious and absolutely terrifying. Neither of them saw the camera. Neither of them noticed the figure in the shadows, capturing their intimate moment, their clasped hands, their unguarded expressions. Neither of them knew that Minister Hong's plan was already in motion, and that this perfect day would become evidence in a trial they didn't know they were facing. By the time they returned to the palace, the sun was setting, painting everything gold. Thank you, Imani said as they stood outside her quarters. For today. For sharing that place with me. Thank you for coming. For trusting me even a little. They stood close, the air between them charged. Jin Pyong's eyes dropped to her lips, then back up, asking a question he didn't voice. Imani shook her head slightly. Not yet. Not ready. He nodded, understanding, stepping back. Good night, Imani. Good night. She watched him walk away, her hand still warm from his touch, her heart a mess of hope and fear. Inside her rooms she found an envelope on her desk. Plain. White. No markings. She opened it with shaking hands. Inside, a single piece of paper with a number written in bold. 5 million USD. Below it, typed in formal font. Ms. Wanjiru, we recognize your difficult position. Please consider this offer. Full payment in exchange for your agreement to relinquish all parental rights after birth and leave Korea permanently. Your family will be secure. You will be free. This child will have the life they deserve. You have 48 hours to decide. For everyone's sake, choose wisely. No signature. No name. But the threat was clear. Take the money and disappear. Or face consequences. Imani's hands shook so hard the paper fluttered. Someone in this palace wanted her gone. Badly enough to bribe her. And if she refused, he thought of the garden. Of Jin Pyong's hand in hers. Of the fragile trust they'd started building. And she thought of her family, her father's medication, her siblings' education, the grinding poverty she'd crossed continents to escape. $5 million. Life-changing. Family saving. All she had to do was give up her child and walk away from the man she was starting to fall for. She sank to the floor, the offer clutched in her hands, and finally let herself cry. Not from fear. Not from anger. But from the terrible, crushing weight of an impossible choice. End of part 3. Next time on Bound by Fate, Imani faces the hardest decision of her life. Jin Pyong discovers the betrayal within his inner circle. And the palace's shadows grow darker as danger closes in.